me to like get my
Okay,
attention.
there's mine. Did you get mine?
Yes, I did. Thank
Okay.
you. All right.
I am excited. Okay. Alrighty. So let's give it a go. Also,
Do you mind if I drink my coffee?
no, I'm gonna be drinking tea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and also it shouldn't take long, like 30 or minutes or
Okay.
whatever.
Sounds good. I have a call at
So
11. So as long as we're done before then.
yeah, I'm with this video YouTube person and he said to start off like make them like 30, 20 minutes at the beginning before people actually sit down and look like at your 1 hour ones. So
Yes,
yeah,
agree.
so just so we're in that time. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Hustle and Health. I'm here with Tanya Mitra, and she is the Remixed Relationship Coach. And
Yeah.
I am so excited to tune in with her because she is such an expert on not just partner like love relationships, but there is relationships of all types throughout our lives, our working relationships, our client relationships, and those are all things that help or go towards creating a solid business. And also, love relationships affect our businesses. So, we're going to dip
Sure.
into all of those three types of relationships. And, Tanya, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me so much, Mata. I'm very happy to be here and to chat with you. I mean, listen, you're right. Relationships, our relationship with ourself and our relation affects and impacts our relationship with everything else that we touch, right?
Yeah.
And our business being such an extension of who we are and how we express ourselves in the world, there is a significant impact of how how we feel about ourselves, how that shows up in our business as well.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of people. Whenever I first like tell my clients, you have all types of relationships. When I explain that, they're like,
Mm.
"No, I don't have a relationship." I'm like, "Yeah, it's like the connection. You want to establish a relationship with your clients to build like rapport, and it's a relationships. It's very much plays a crucial role and also growing your business. And so, but the first relationship that I want to dip into with you is the relationships that business owners have with themselves. How does, okay, so I guess it would be two questions. How does somebody know they have a good relationship with themselves? And if they don't, what's something that they can do for that?
Well, I think knowing if you have a good relationship with yourself starts with just your own awareness about how you're talking to yourself, how you're championing yourself, what you do when you make mistakes, sort of that dialogue, that what is the default dialogue in your brain, right? Like when I work with my clients, I work with individuals and couples on relationships. So we always start with the relationship with self because the relationship with self is the thing that impacts, like I said, everything, right? So the first thing is really understanding how your inner talk is sort of playing out. We tend to, our brain tends towards criticism. Our brain wants to protect us and save us, against threats and danger. And for us in the world that we live in, we see failure, mistakes as danger, right? So understanding how we're talking to ourselves when we are in those positions, right? If we've made a mistake in business, if we're beating ourselves up, if we find ourselves sitting in the what ifs and the I should haves for a long time, which is then stopping us from moving forward, we know that there's, some work to be done with the relationship with ourselves. If you're in a position where you can see your business as its own entity and understand that your relationship with it can actually just be neutral and you get to decide every day how you're showing up to it, to that relationship, it really calms things down and it helps you understand that like you are not your business is separate than you and you get to approach that and handle that however you then decide.
Yeah, that is very key. Also, people separating themselves from their business, right? That's a whole nother process within itself, because there's a lot of people that are like, I am my business, I need to do this by myself. I need to do that by myself because it's my business, right?
Right.
And creating that relationship of separating it, separating it. How does one go about doing that if they're not doing that as of right now? They don't include their business as a separate entity to have a relationship with.
With themselves. Well, it's making a decision, right? So in my work in coaching, coaching is really just about decisions, right? And so it's recognizing that the way you're handling it is maybe not working for you. It is not helping you feel better about yourself and make progress in your business. It's not getting you the results you want, maybe revenue wise or, client wise, or you're just not enjoying yourself. You know what I mean? So recognizing that that's not working and then making the decision to maybe try it, to look at it a different way. It's like looking at if you're in a partnership or have been in a romantic relationship, you are not your partner. You know what I mean? You and your partner form the relationship. You guys come together and create something. And it's the same thing with you and your business. You are a separate entity, and it's only when you work alongside your business and you have a healthy rapport with your business that the two of you can create something great, which at the end of the day, if we're entrepreneurs, I mean, I think that's all of our goal, right? Is to like, we came into business to find something fulfilling and satisfying that was different than the standard or the norm. So defeating yourself by having an unhealthy relationship or allowing your negative self-talk or your negative self-image to then be portrayed on the business is just preventing you from getting the results that you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of my clients because, I'm a life coach also, but for entrepreneurs, scaling their businesses, their marketing and all that. And so a lot of them, there's just something that's stopping me. There's something like, there's a breakthrough coming, but it just doesn't happen. And most of the time, it's themselves, they're stopping themselves.
Hmm.
And it's them not having a relationship with themselves that they're not confident in themselves. So there's no relationship, like they want to do this, but themselves, that inner voice is not letting them say, no, you can't do that. Like, what are you going to do? You're putting everything at risk, right? And so
Yeah.
I took a cognitive behavioral therapy class. And so one of the things was that we had to name our inner voice.
Hmm.
And so I named my inner voice Bob because I would never listen to somebody. I'm sorry if anybody out there is named Bob, but I would never like listen to somebody that's going to criticize me whose name is Bob,
I love
and
that.
especially a male. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I will never listen to Bob in real life. So I'm not,
Yeah, Bob is not it. That I
yeah,
love that, and that is a really important thing. I work in a methodology called positive intelligence, and it's something that I do with a lot of my clients. And in positive intelligence, what we talk about is that all of us have a set of what we call saboteurs. So essentially, they're what you're talking about, the inner voice, the inner critic. But all of us start with the main one, which is the judge. And we judge three things. We judge ourselves, we judge other people, and we judge situations and circumstances, right? In this case, what we're talking about, our business is the situation or the circumstance,
yeah,
right? So, and we have lots of judgments, and our saboteurs are basically the sort of the toolkit that we built for ourselves when we didn't get the things that we needed or because of our life circumstances in childhood and so on. So, even those people who had happy, healthy childhoods, they have a set of saboteurs because of, maybe they had a really difficult teacher, maybe they had a really difficult experience. So we build up this set of sort of I guess they're supporting characters in our brain,
yeah, yeah,
and they're the ones running the show, right? But they come from, sort of our weaknesses and our deficiencies. So if we allow them to run the show, then we are always going to be operating from that place, right? So
yeah,
it's really about recognizing the Bobs and naming them and understanding like these people, like these are just voices. They're just thoughts. They're not based in fact. They're not true. and being able to discern them. It's work. It's for sure. It takes intention and work. But when you're able to do that and you're able to see yourself separate, then, things start changing immediately for you in your business.
Yeah, and it's dealing with that inner critic. I believe that definitely um helps you build a relationship with yourself. Because I tell my clients, it's, yeah, like Bob's talking a lot of smack, right? But you have to train it also. Like we train him to what to say, and then I also provide comfort in letting them know that it's naturally our brain, our Bobs, our inner voices talk negatively to us because that's how kind of we grow up, right? Um, like the news before social media thrived off of like negative news, right? So
Yes.
growing up, we hear a lot of no's, 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 right? So our brain is trained to think negatively automatically to try and keep us safe because that's what we were taught a lot in our homes, right?
Hmm.
Now, like I read books on parenting, like, oh, make sure you say more yeses and nos or like congratulate and all that, so like the brain gets different. But like us, there was not a lot of parenting books, right? Or at least my parents in my household, they
Hmm.
didn't pick up a
It was
parenting
not so
book.
much a thing, no, back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. And so it's something that I've had to train my brain also. Like, it- okay, I'm talking like Bob is talking negative, but I can reverse it, right? I'm I'm scared to do this. This is new. you know,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
reframing that thought. And that I think that is vital to starting to build that relationship with yourself, especially as a business owner. Like we were saying, you have to have a lot of backbone for sure.
Mhm. And
And
it can
because
be a
there's,
really lonely experience. So you kind of have to have your own back too.
yeah. And so if you have that inner critic with that megaphone, learning how to control that really does change the level of how you do business, right? And how you
Absolutely.
manage relationships, even with clients. So that was the next relationship that we were going to talk about. If a business owner is listening to this right now, and how can they establish better relationships with their clients?
Well, this is the thing. I think remembering it from the perspective of why you started your business in the first place, like you have to go back there, right? We can get caught up in all of the goals that we have for our business, revenue goals, or we're not where we want to be, or this went wrong, or this broke, or whatever. We get caught up in that and we forget about the ultimate reason why we started a business, which, for people like you and I, is to help people, right? To help other people, not to just help ourselves, but to help other people. And so many businesses have been created for that reason. Even if you look at boutiques, it's to serve other people, restaurants, it's to feed other people, right? So recognizing and remembering that the primary reason that we started our business was with the intent of doing something in some kind of service for others, right? And leading with that, I think, is really, really important. Recognizing that those people on the receiving end of our service, our product, whatever it is, they're not the ones who have created our problems, right? They're not the ones who are beating us up in our own heads because we've made a mistake or telling us that we can't accomplish this because we have limiting beliefs, right? Our clients are not the ones. Our clients really are the ones who will help us move forward, are going to go tell people if they receive great service about us. If they've had a great meal here, they're going to recommend our restaurant to other people. If they've had a breakthrough in their relationship, they're going to say, wait a second, Tanya's a great relationship coach, right? So
Yes.
it's leading with the client and remembering why you even are doing this to begin with. Like the why for me is always the most important thing, in everything, in every relationship, recognizing, like what is my goal and why? And so here in business, it's like, well, if my goal is to help people with X or give people what, this amazing product, well, then treat your people accordingly because they're going to be the ones who are celebrating with you on the other side.
Yeah, for sure. The connecting to your why and continuously connecting to that is very fundamental. And a lot of people, a lot of as a business coach, I listen to a lot of other business coaches, right? And they're always like, think about the problem that you're solving, right?
Mhm.
And it's like if we take it beyond like step more, think about the problem that you are solving it for who? Like who
Mhm.
problem are you solving?
Mhm.
I'm solving like this relationship, like people that are struggling with this, that's whose people I'm like whose problem I'm solving. So it's not just what problem you're solving, it's who, and then connecting that, and
Sure.
this is who I'm serving. This is who I want to maintain a connection with and build a relationship, which, like you said, I love it. Like, yeah, they're going to go to your restaurant, you're going to build rapport, they're going to refer other people to it, and especially if you focus on that client experience, which is
Right.
like another thing that also I help my clients with is what problem are you solving for who and what experience are you giving them? And that also establishes that relationship and that connection.
For
And
sure.
because giving, like, I always give the Victoria's Secret example. Like, they were just a lingerie store until they started giving stuff in gift bags, right? That was a different kind of um client experience, which then they built a relationship with Victoria's Secret. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I got a gift from them. Like who do you give a gift from? People that care about you on your birthday and all of that. So
Exactly.
so that's how Victoria's Secret as a corporation built a relationship with their clients by focusing on that client experience. And it's like I 1,000% agree with you as long as you're connecting to your why, for like you're serving the people. I think yeah, that's definitely a very a good angle. I don't have it on my wall anymore, but I used to have like my why, yeah,
Mhm.
and just to reconnect with it and being connected with it and being in that also is good for longevity wise, right?
Yeah, and it honestly, it's good for your relationship with yourself too, because it's what motivates you to keep going. And it's the thing that allows you to have some grace with yourself when you make mistakes or when you're not as far ahead because you're like, wait a second, there's a bigger goal here. There's like a bigger purpose, and I can connect to that, and therefore I can have a better relationship with myself, remembering like this is just part of the journey.
Yeah.
This is not the end, right? Like we're still working towards the end. And in order to get to the end, I need to pick myself up and keep going. And that's when you can, like, I think having a good, healthy relationship with yourself and your business is the difference between success and not. And when I say success, I mean like just not just financial success, but like enjoying yourself,
Mhm.
coming up with new ideas, being able to serve your clients the way your clients, deserve to be served, right? You can't do that from a place of I'm not happy and I don't like my business and I have a really difficult relationship with myself and I'm resentful of my business. You can't, like, I'm getting ready to send my clients holiday presents. Like, I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm so excited for them to open their presents because I'm so excited about, who I work with and for them to have someone who cares about them as deeply as I do, like,
Yeah.
gets me super excited. I have the best clients and they're my why. You know what I mean? They're the ones who keep me going. So like I do so much work on myself so that I can show up and be better for them. So that I can show them what's possible, so that I can be an example for them, so that when they, need to borrow some belief or borrow an example, I can be right there. And it's, it changes the game for you and it changes the game for your clients as well when you can have a better relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah. And then also the most common relationship that anybody can think of, right, is the love relationship,
Yes.
right? How can how does a love relationship affect the business owner and their business?
Well, listen, for anybody who has had to go to work, after having a big fight with their partner, you know how disruptive and distracting it is. So if you are having repeated disagreements or are in a bad place, meaning feeling disconnected from your partner or feeling tension, or there's been a betrayal of trust, or you're just like kind of like going through the motions and living like roommates and you don't really feel appreciated or seen or understood, how can you show up fully in your business? You can't. What happens in your home life very much, influences and impacts what happens in your work life. And so it's, you know, I believe that, your romantic relationship is an extension of the relationship that you have with yourself. And I teach my clients that once again, it's them, it's their partner, and then it's the relationship, right? So once again, if we're able to understand that the relationship might have problems, doesn't mean that you're flawed, that your partner is flawed. It's like you can go and fix the relationship issues. And by doing that, you're strengthening yourself, which is therefore strengthening your other relationships with your business, your friendships, how you parent, all of the things. So, you know, people who try to operate and run their businesses while in unhealthy marriages or difficult relationships that aren't fulfilling, there is, you're showing up with that energy. And I believe that the energy that we put into something does show up in the output, in the results that we create. So, when we're not happy, when we're not feeling fulfilled, when there's a lot of tension in our relationships, we're carrying that in our body, and that's what we're energetically putting towards the work that we're doing. And when you're in a type of business where you're front facing or like you're dealing directly with customers or clients, you got to be mindful of that, right? Like
Yeah.
it's important. So it's important always to heal all of the relationships in your life. You know what I mean? To be actively working on strengthening every single relationship, but they all start with the relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So when somebody comes and works with Tanya, right? What is the first two or three questions, like two questions that you ask them on, like whether it's like relationships, or how do you determine like where do you take your next steps from?
So I like to use a ranking system. It makes things really, really easy for people, and it allows that people who don't have as much ability to emotionally express themselves or find the words for the feelings to kind of just easily gauge where they're at. So I take the temperature of people by asking on a scale of 1 to 10 how happy they are in different facets of their life, in different parts of their life. So their relationship with themselves, I'll break it down further into like how confident are you feeling? How fulfilled are you feeling? Right? And then we'll also look at that in the relationship. But my program and the way that I coach is a unique sort of way. It's culturally focused and it's a hybrid model. So I take into account my clients' culture and their cultural background because we know that our culture dictates so much of how we show up. And even in business, right? In our
Yeah.
relationship with our businesses, like if we come from a culture where we have been taught that success only looks like the car you drive or the amount of money you have in your bank account, you're going to be trying to achieve that result no matter if you're enjoying your business, if you're not enjoying your business, if you're serving clients well or not, right? Which is different than if you grow up in a culture where you're taught to be in service, for example, and it's about helping and serving and it's not about the external sort of rewards. You know what I mean? So I look at that. I look at the cultural context, and then I also, in my couples coaching program, I coach simultaneously them as individuals and as a couple, which is, very unique in the industry because again, I think you have to heal the relationship that you have with yourself. You have to overcome your own challenges. You have to get out of your own way. You have to deal with your own Bob. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that you can then show up in the marriage differently. And so I find that it accelerates the work that my couples do together and it amplifies it because they're doing their own stuff and then they're bringing that version of themselves to the couples coaching sessions. So, and it just gives them a place to sort of explore their own stuff because
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't get a chance to do that, you
Yeah.
know?
I love that. And I do, for anybody that is listening, I think that is very, very effective coaching what you're doing, especially when it comes to relationship, like coaching them individually and then okay, let's bring it together. That is very unique strategy, and I think a lot of other relationship coaches are missing out on that opportunity because I think that just gives you better results as a client and for you,
Mhm.
right? Like more success stories when you have people working on themselves individually and then coming together.
For
Because like
sure.
you said, like the levels you taught me today, like the order, right? Like the level. And I agree with it. It's like you had said the relationship with yourself, right? Is the first
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
And then the relationship with like with your significant other and then the like the other relationships
Mhm.
after
For
that,
sure.
right?
For sure.
Was that
And
the correct order? Did I?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you are in a romantic relationship, then, your relationship with your partner even comes before your relationship with your children,
Hmm.
because your relationship with your partner has so much impact on the way that you parent your children if you're living in the same home,
Yeah.
even if you're not, right? Even if you're not, even for those people who are, co-parenting from afar or, are separated. I'm someone who has a child with somebody who I co-parent with across states,
Hmm.
right? So my son's father lives in New York and I live here in Texas. So, I had to 1000% heal my relationship, even though our relationship is not healed. In my mind, I've healed my portion of the relationship enough that I can parent my son cleanly. The
Yes.
impact of that relationship with his father, because we have a very, very difficult relationship, does not come in and impact the way that I parent my son. If myself and my husband now, we have a daughter together, if him and I aren't good, it is 1000% going to impact our children, right? Like it's 1000% going to impact. So it's our relationship with ourselves impacts everything. And then if you are in a romantic relationship, it is important because that is the person that you are relying on, that you're depending on, that you are looking to for support, looking for partnership, right? You're not looking for those things from your children. So if that relationship is broken, it becomes very difficult to then have, that same kind of clean relationship that I think most of us as parents want with our
Yeah.
children. Relationship with children, of course, is very, very important. And then the relationship with your business or the relationship with, friends, relationship with extended family. I
Yeah.
see a lot of couples, sorry, not couples, people also prioritizing the relationship with extended family, for example, parents and so on, over their relationship with their business or over their relationship, right? Which is great because we think it's a beautiful thing to, love our families and 1000%, but they don't know the reality of your business. They are not in your romantic relationship. So it's very difficult when you're prioritizing their needs or their opinions or their desires over your own to really figure out what's the right thing for you. And I think that's where a lot of people fall into a lot of confusion about making choices in business or with their partner and so on.
Yeah.
So it's really important to kind of like know where to put your energy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all very eye-opening. I'm so thankful that you were on here today for sure. And for y'all might not know this, but this conversation has been months and it finally happened. And it's just, and I think this is a great time to hear this, especially with the holidays, you know.
For sure.
You're often like with your water cup pouring into so many cups, right? What am I going to get the Theo? What am I going to get my
Mhm.
sister, my significant other, the kids, you know, like all of these relationships, you're like evaluating them, right? So it's like definitely the time of evaluate relationship evaluation and everything like it's all important. Like I said, it's a very maybe that's why this happened at this time.
Yes, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the right
Yeah,
timing.
yeah, for sure.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me
Yes.
on.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and let's see if we do this again next year.
Sounds good.
Yes, all right.
Take care.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.